Welcome back. We're going to continue to work with Java's Math.random method. We're going to continue working with that. This time we're going to be working with using indices, specifically working with string indices. Now, before we get into detail on the string indices, we want to just do a quick reminder that all indices of Java data structures are going to be integer values, aka ints. Additionally, these indices must conform to the rules of the corresponding data type. In the case of string, that determinant is going to be the .length method. And so when we're working with string indices, every time we're working with this, whenever we're doing the scalar on that, unless we're doing something really weird, which is not going to be the case most of the time, we're going to be multiplying that as a scalar of the length of the associated string. So for example, my string would be my string's length. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the code that we're going to be working on with this, and we'll go and say some logic with that. As you can see right here, I've got my use random string indices, and so my string content is I support human rights, and string example, computer science is political too. These are some critical ideas that you do have to keep in mind when you're working with computer science. We do have human rights when we're working this, and computer science is political. There are things we have to keep in mind. Int random start is a cast result as an int of math.random times content.length, that result also contained in parens. And then we have system.println, content is the content, and then system.println, the random substring is content.substring, passing it that random start index. Then we have random start is then to be reassigned a new int value, again casting as an int, and then this time it's going to be examples.length, and system.println, the example is in its example, and then system.println, the random letter in an example is in the example.substring random start and random start plus 1. And this is guaranteed to be a valid number because the indices will always be within the bounds of the string. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and see what happens as we run this. So content is I support human rights, and random string is GHTS, and example is computer science is political too, and the random letter in this example is I. Okay, so we have some examples right there. It doesn't say which I it happens to be. We just know it happens to be an I because we didn't store that variable, but that's okay. We'll run this again. Okay, we have TS this time for random substring, and our random letter in this time is a blank. The .length minus 1 up to .length will give us a blank value. This is a great example of this. We can get a blank in this, or it can even be a space. We don't actually know because we have spaces in there too. Run it again. This time we've got a C, and then man writes. Okay, so we can see that we've got on this right there, so we can see that we have different examples of this. And so we can see how we can actually use a random value as an index using string. Now, this is a really just basic example of how you can do this. This is just pretty simple. However, we can do this a lot more. A nice practice assignment you could do to get a better understanding of how to work with both strings and random numbers would be to generate a second valid parameter to the substring method so you can get a range of string as you work for that. I'm not going to give a demonstration on that because it's a great assignment. It's a great way to practice for that. But if you want to actually understand better of how to actually work with that, generate two different random numbers and use that two different results to get a substring of the actual string that's not just one single letter, but it's a range of values between that and guarantee it to be valid. Those are a great way to actually practice using Math.random and get an understanding of how a string and its .length methods are working and how to use the substring method as well. I hope this is helpful. Take a look at the other videos. We're going to work with more indices as well. Have a good day. Cheers. See you next time. Bye-bye.